me about her experience in one of the hospitals here in Abuja about some weeks ago. She gave birth. Do you know that there are just 3 labor beds in the whole of the hospital? And you see a lot of women coming to give birth. So it's like turn by turn that even a woman had to give birth to twins on the floor because there was no space. And I held my hands and I was like, in this country, you know, so many things happening. So there's a governance failure, there's a governance deficit.
Let me give you a solution to that one. Very simple. If you don't consume what you sell, then you're a bad producer.
If you don't consume what you sell,
you're a bad producer.
I like that.
No, but that's a constant in business. That's why every salesman...
If you don't consume what you sell,
yes.
High me 5 for that. I think I'm going to put that down.
Thank you.
If you don't consume
what you sell,
yes.
Something is wrong, yes.
That means our politicians are not consuming what they are giving to us.
No, they're not consumers of that system.
Oh, at this point, let's take a break.
All right.
We'll be right back.
Are you an entrepreneur or small business owner looking for a fast and cost-effective way to grow your customer base? If yes, Moneyline with Nancy is offering you an opportunity to showcase your business on our Big Small Business segment to help you reach out to more customers. Take advantage of this platform. Reach us today on 0814-833-9088 or email us at moneylinewithnancy@gmail.com. Moneyline with Nancy, supporting small businesses to grow.
All right, welcome back. In case you're just joining us, we're still in this political discourse as it concerns governance, concerns this forthcoming elections, concerning economy and all of that. Like I said yesterday on the program, we started on Monday the show speaking about political economy. You said earlier on during the break that if you don't consume what you sell, you are not in the right business.
No, you're not. And that's
so that means our politicians are not consuming what they are doing for us.
Let me refer to the cigarette industry. One of the qualifications for a cigarette salesman is that you must smoke. You must smoke. If you go to drinks industry, the beer makers and sellers, no beer salesman is a titular. You must be a drinker of that product so that you can have experience of what you sell to people. That's the standard. Now, we have a system where the people who manage the systems never use those systems.
The president was in London for a very long time. He's not even the only one.
They
Other people,
never
they go.
If you go and look at all the ministries, even the top civil servants, they have allocations for these foreign medical checks. They have access to foreign education for their kids.
At the expense of taxpayers'
money. Yes. So how do you think? Now, let me add this one that most people don't even look at it. If you ask yourself, why should a senator that somebody campaigning for Senate or somebody campaigning for governor or campaigning for any other office prefer not to drive on the roads that his people drive on? Why are they flying around? Because the roads are horrible. In every other country of the world, people will ask you, so the roads are not good enough for you? But we have a system, like I said, where the voters, in quotes, are
You see them taking trains. The former Vice President, Joe Biden, I think he was a senator, he was taking this.
Yes,
They knew him inside at a particular time, 5:30 or so. He's always inside the train for years.
Yes. So that's the system we're on. So you must ask yourself, this powerlessness, this system we're on, it is simply a situation where the leadership are taking advantage of the powerlessness, the poverty, the lack of choices, the lack of education. And then rather than make it better over the years, it's getting worse down there, but it's getting better up there.
Now, the question will be, this forthcoming elections, February 16th, about 10 days or 9 days into February 16th, do you think that our votes will count? That's one. The other part of it is, would Nigerians' votes be for sale?
Let me answer you because I am involved in somehow one way or the other. By the way, this morning my column for today was on voting. So I encourage people to vote.
Okay.
The first thing I need to say to you about the election is that INEC is making an effort, is communicating that the votes will count. So let's give them a chance by the 16th. That's one. Then about sale of votes. The experience we had in the last couple of years, the experience you reported now, is that it has become practically a norm. People no longer snatch ballot boxes. That is outmoded. It has become a norm to give something for the vote. So, are votes going to be sold? Yes. That's the simple truth.
You are very optimistic about that?
Yes,
that
that's
votes will be sold?
Yes, that's
or
what...
votes will be bought or whatever?
No. Let me ask you this. Let me give you a scenario. You go to campaign. You go to a village to campaign. They gather around. We're Africans. You go to visit people, you must drop drinks. So you give them drinks. You give them what to eat while they're there. When you're going away, you drop a package for them to be eating and drinking while they are discussing whether they will vote for you or not. On election day, what happens? My dear, what happens on election day? First, you are the one that will most likely provide transportation to the point of voting. I don't know if that is not inducement. You are probably going to provide lunch and water for those who come out to vote. I don't know if that is not inducement. You are going to provide transport for them to go back. And you're going to provide something for them in the pocket so that when they get back home, they can sit with their people and tell a story of how they went to vote. My dear, all of this put together is vote buying. And it has become a norm.
Okay.
If you don't pay it, you don't get it.
So you've answered two of my questions.
Yes, I have.
It? Now, the question which I want to ask an average Nigerian watching me right now, or for fans and viewers of this show, is how much is your vote worth? Even as we go to the polls February 16th, like they say, use your mind. Yes. Now, if you're being seduced with 5,000 naira, I'm with my phone here, calculator, I had to bring out the calculator part and do the maths very quickly. If you are giving 5,000 naira to vote a particular way, now let me do the maths for you, because everything boils down to naira and kobo. And it's all about money. Like the Bible says, money answereth all things. So let me put it down in perspectives, how much your vote is worth when you are being given, let me say, 5,000 naira. Now, what you need to do, put 5,000 naira, divide it by 365 days, let me say...
Times 4.
Yes, 365 days times 4. So now let's do the math. 365 days times 4. Wait, so that we explain. 1,460 days. Now let's take that 1,460 days, 5,000 naira, divided by 1,460 days. What your vote is worth is 3 naira 42 kobo per day. So anyone that comes to you to say, take this 5,000 naira, vote a certain way, vote this party or vote this party, know that you are selling yourself for 3 naira 42 kobo. In fact, you're selling yourself for 3 naira because there's no 42 kobo part of it. Where's the kobo? We are not seeing it again. So how much is your vote worth? It comes down to your money, your vote.
Or your life.
Your life. So I think I've tried to explain it so that you understand a bit of what I'm saying.
But let me give you another part of the story. You know, in fairness to the Nigerian people, it's been very hard. Very, very hard. The politicians have more money than the average person. So what you have now is a dilution, it's a spending process that actually puts some of the accumulated money in the hands of the populace. It is wrong. It is all wrong. But the truth is that the political process puts money in people's hands. If you look at the large campaign crowds, my dear, those large campaign crowds you see, they are mostly...
Are they rented? Like
I don't want to use the word
bought?
I don't want to use the word rented. I want to use the word... You know, we have daily pay in our system where people work for the day. So those who work for the day, you can't get them to leave their day work to go do something where they don't earn for. So you compensate them. That compensation has to be financial. So if you get someone to leave his masonry work or his carpentry work or his laborer work where he earns 2,000 naira, 3,000 naira a day, if he leaves it and doesn't get paid, it's a loss to him, so he won't show. So to make sure that they show, the tendency is to part with the money and provide transport. That's when if you go to a campaign venue, you find hundreds of buses to bus people in and bus them out. Then you pay them for their time. So you could say the word is just semantics. It could be bought for, could be paid for, could also be compensated for. But the important thing is that money passes from the elite who are holding it to the populace. And this is the most profitable time in the calendar for the common man in Nigeria. And that's the truth of how it works.
Okay, let's take a few comments coming through from our viewers. Nnaji is saying, if the soil, I think it's going a bit scientific or agricultural.
Yes.
If the soil and atmospheric conditions are not right,
Yes.
a plant cannot grow.
Yes.
The condiments that brew voter buying are very much with us.
Yes.
A few 1% utilize the state from private gains, thus
Yes.
causing poverty
Yes.
that political elites
Yes.
weaponize.
Which you say that using poverty as a tool.
As a tool.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Okay, do we have more here? Michael Adeshono says, we hope the politicians will release all the money they have been keeping after elections so that there can be money in circulation. Nigerians are dying of hunger day in, day out without any hope. Now, just very quickly,
Yes.
what are some of the things that we need to begin to do as Nigerians or as the voters, as people that actually put these people in office, so to speak?
The key word is education. Get our people to understand that they are the employer of the office holder, period. Employees don't dictate to employers. That is why in other countries, the politicians are very responsive to the demands of the populace. You cannot wreck the schools and your children are in school abroad. If you try it as a minister or equivalent of education in UK, you lose your job. If they hear that you're a minister of education and your son is schooling in Australia, you lose your job. They demand accountability. That is why if you go and look at the records, the Queen of England uses British cars. Remember Diana? Diana wanted a Mercedes. They said, no, you can't have a Mercedes. What are you telling the British people? What's your message? You can have a Jaguar, you can have a Rover, but you can't have a Mercedes. You can have an Aston Martin.
So,
Fact.
for example, the government should patronize innocent,
Completely.
so to speak.
Completely. Not just innocent, the government.
Other cars, perhaps, that they're assembling also in Nigeria.
My dear, let me remind you what India did once. India that we are aping today. India shut down its borders. Say what we can't produce, you can't use. And if you want to bring anything from outside, you pay huge taxes. And they began to manage what they were doing, and because of patronage and circulation, they got better. The thing is that we don't seem to have the will to suffer for any length of time. And you can't achieve anything if you don't allow yourself to suffer delayed gratification. That's what we are. So the leaders and the people must begin to demand made in Nigeria. And that's why I support what's happening in Abia State. Made in Aba used to be something that was derogatory. But right now, they have changed the brand. Made in Aba is something good now. Nigerian rice used to be derogatory. But now people are realizing that it's actually better, it's richer. So when we begin to understand you can't grow an economy by being import dependent. And there's no magic where we import chairs, we import tables, we import everything. Then how do we create employment?
The question now would be, which I asked at that was my final takeoff yesterday before we ended the show. The right kind of leadership.
Yes.
This crop of leaders that we all see in different states, are they the best kind of leaders?
Nancy, how the leaders evolve from society. They didn't come from Europe. They are Nigerians. You see, ask yourself, what has sustained this system for so long? It's because we are like this. That's the
So
truth.
our politics reflect our values.
We are like this. If we are not like this, let me ask you, if we are not like this, why would office holders, as an example, go to Europe, you close from work as a governor or as a minister and go home. When you close from work, you drive your personal car home. We have evolved a system where even if I'm in office for 3 days, I take all the things that government gave to me, I take it away. Then government spends money getting new ones. Look at the allocation of funds, recurrent and capital. Can you grow an economy when you're spending more money servicing yourselves? You can't do that. So until we begin to demand a working system, and these are you and I, let me tell you about taxation that affects small businesses. In every state I do business, most state governments have handed over taxation to political touts and politicians. So, tenement rate, signage, all those taxes. So one politician comes to your office and slams you one huge bill. You negotiate it, you pay him. How much of it gets back to government? So we businessmen have become some kind of victims of the system because we concentrated in our businesses, so to speak. Then you now pay taxes, not really to government, but also to individuals. Now, which other country allows individuals to take over taxation and remits to government what they like? How can the system work?
Okay. Just as we end the program,
Yes.
We are conducting a poll, and the poll is on still for the next 4 days. So you can go to Moneyline AIT right now on Twitter and vote. And the poll is, which of these is affecting Nigerians the most? I want to have your own input. Is it poverty of the mind or poverty of the pocket? This was stemmed out of the program I had 2 days ago or so. Yeah, today's Wednesday or Monday. Is it poverty of the mind that affects us most, or poverty of the pocket?
Essentially, it's poverty of the mind, because the mind allows you to know that you can earn. Money doesn't go to people who don't have a consciousness of how to work for it. That's the simple truth. If you sit back and say, I am powerless, I am weak, then you don't earn. To earn money, you have to step out. You have to step forward. So what's affecting us Nigerians is our willingness to accept pittances. I mean, you couldn't, there are a lot of people who you'll be surprised that they go to parties or they go to weddings and they steal drinks. They're poor mentally. Why should you go to a party and have a bag and be stuffing people's drinks? You're a poor person in your mind.
What if they don't have it at home?
Why should they drink it then?
What
to
if
get?
they
No.
don't have or they are storing for the
Nancy,
rainy day? Or
this is air, but I can tell you a story. You work very hard to get where you're seated. Why didn't you sit in your house and let someone come and give it to you? Because you believed in yourself. You work for it. That's how it works. No other way. Poverty is in the mind of people.
it's in the mind, so it's not poverty of the pockets that will suffer.
No. We suffer from just this mental laxity, this docility, this incapacity to say this thing is bad, let's change it.
Would you also say that for the rural person that is watching right now, someone in your remote village?
Let me surprise you.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Very well.
Perhaps someone that does not even have a television that
Let me
is
surprise
watching us
you,
right
Nancy.
now.
I'm from Ogoja.
That's in Cross River.
Yes, the bulk of the people at home in my villages build houses for themselves, send their children to school, because they go to farm. They don't rely on people. They produce tons and tons and tons of farm produce. But
Those are the
lazy
kind of
ones,
people that should be encouraged.
there are also lazy ones who sit down there and complain that there's nothing is coming. And then their neighbor is building new houses out of his farm.
Okay. Let's take this new comments from Twitter. Okeapia says, your guest is making superb sense on the daily pay
Thank
vote
you.
compensation model. Yeah. Interesting perspective. Yeah. Richmond says, poverty of the mind. Eugene Abel says, Eugene quoted me here, if you sell your vote for 5,000 naira, you have sold yourself for 3 naira 42 kobo per day.
Yes.
I think that should be the most sensible thing I've said today.
Yes.
I am thinking
You've said a lot of sensible things, but that one is very pungent.
Thank you.
Very
So I
pungent.
think you should tell people, if they are giving you 5K, that means you are worth 3 naira 42 kobo. In fact, you are worth 3 naira because there's no 42
And
kobo.
3 naira in this country buys
What
nothing.
does it buy? I don't think it
Even
buys
300
anything.
naira doesn't buy
In
anything.
fact, 5 naira these days, of what value is it? Okay, which other comments? I'm seeing quite a lot. Edebele says it's a democratization of disempowerment under the guise of democracy. We are for 20 years now been looted blind, so buying a vote is now a political culture. That is entrenched because poverty fuels it. The 1% elites do not need to solicit for votes. They buy it.
They just go and give it away.
Okay, which other one? Abdulmumni Sata says poverty of the mind. My director is telling me your time is up on the show, not for. So, just finally, as we end the show, what do you have to say? February 16th, APC, PDP, and how many other parties? All of them, 73, if I'm aware. So,
what I would like to say to Nigerians is that they should understand that the change the transformation, the improvement of this country starts on the 16th of February, when they go and cast that vote. And when they go to cast that vote, in my view, someone gives you money, as we say in my village, take it. After all, it's your money. But go vote for that person, that very person that you think has something to offer your society. Because if you keep voting for the wrong people, you're postponing, you're transiting suffering from yourself to your children. And God forbid that. Africans want the best for their children. That's my last word for it.
Thank you very much, Morphy, for coming and sharing your perspectives with me today on the show.
Thank you.
That's the much.
That's
nice speaking with you too. That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. I hope you've learned a lot from Monday till today. We've been talking about politics, elections, and the economy, governance, and all of that. As February 16th draws near, please make an informed choice. Do not sell your vote, because if someone gives you 5,000 naira, that means you are worth 3 naira 42 kobo per day for the next 4 years. I am Nnaji. Please join us again tomorrow. Until then, continue to be the best you can, as well as be that change that you want to see. I'll see you all tomorrow. God willing. Bye now.
Let me know when to start.